So I'm working on getting our backhoe in fantastic condition to be plowing snow in the winter. I haven't shown the video yet, but I did a bunch of diagnostics a few weeks back to get the lighting working. When we bought it, none of the lights worked front or rear, which didn't matter because we were building our house during the summer, no big deal. Now winter's here, we've got just a few hours of daylight and I need to be plowing snow. The lights that are on there right now are halogen, and they do work, but they're not that great. And I've been really excited to try an LED light upgrade. We reached out to our subscribers on Facebook and on YouTube to see what folks thought was the best LED light. And honestly, I got back about 1,000 different answers. And so I thought this would be a fantastic chance to kind of try a few different lights instead of just one and be like, it works pretty good, it's LED, it's light. I thought, why not buy like a cheap, super cheap Chinese light and then, I don't know, buy the most expensive American light you can find. So I did just that. What you're looking at here is a $20 set of lights. In fact, I think there might be 4 lights in here, not just 2. And this box here costs 10 times more than this box. And that's only 1 light. I had to buy 2. I thought it would be a great chance to use some of the most well-known brands like Rigid or Baja Designs and maybe kind of compare them to some of the cheaper, more affordable lights that, let's be honest, most of us are looking at. If you guys are thinking what I'm thinking, what's in this box cannot possibly be worth 1/10 of what's in this box, or vice versa. How can this light cost 10 times more than 4 lights? I did try to buy lights that were all very similar. The same light pattern, roughly the same wattage, although the designs of these lights are vastly different. So today, let's do an unboxing and kind of take a look at what all that money gets you. So let's start with the lights that most of us would probably lean towards. I don't know what this brand is. I think it's Turbo S2, that's it. These are fantastically made in China, although I'm gonna be honest with you, I think a good portion of these lights are probably made in China. So this light is a 18 watt, 12 or 24 volt, 6 LED, and I believe they are 3 watt LEDs because this light is rated at 18 watts. I can tell you that we paid $22 on Amazon Prime, and this includes 4 lights for 21 bucks. That's cheap. I can't believe this light is under $5. How is that even humanly possible? I can't even buy these screws at the hardware store for $5. My first impressions with this light is, build quality seems okay. I think probably one of the most contested problems with these lights is moisture. And where the cord goes into the light, I can tell that there's kind of this really puny rubber gasket. So it does include an adjustable bracket, but of course a single mounting position. With a light this small, that should be plenty to hold it in place, even if you're a crazy off-road person. The cooling fins on the back are thin for sure. They kind of have like a bent, wavy look to them. They don't look damaged. They just really don't look stout. I would think if you hit these with something, it would definitely damage them. And I can see down beside the fins that there's a rubber gasket that extends out from the lens body, and it's apparently their attempt to seal these kind of side parts of the body to the main housing there. So that rubber seal is all that's keeping this light from leaking. It's just a gut feeling, but if you see how wavy that little gasket is, my intuition is these lights are gonna leak perfectly. I did notice that out of the box, no wiring harnesses or anything are included. You're basically given 2 bare wires, although the cable protector here is pretty decent. So if you can get this protected by the time you get here, it seems like it's good enough. So I actually see, I don't know if I'll be able to show it on camera, but maybe I'll try a little bit later. I can see the gasket down here on the lens, these screws are kind of pushing on this polycarbonate lens, and there's just this most pathetic seal on the bottom. Looks like a rubber band, maybe, at best. So one thing I forgot to mention about these lights is that they are a floodlight. That is the lens pattern on them, and all of these lights are the same-ish lens pattern. Moving up the budget chain, that brings us to the Rigid Industries D2 lights. This is a set of 2 lights, and they are also light pods. These were $280, and there are only 2 lights. So I guess if you wanted to be fair, these are insanely more expensive than the Turbosi lights. I think hands down, among the recommendations that I got from our viewers and our followers were Rigid lights. A lot of people said they're expensive. I agree. But even people who do work with these lights, where they're not really a leisure or a pleasure product, something like search and rescue, they said, I will only put Rigid lights on my rig. So I thought, man, I don't know, they're expensive, but if the people who are using them to do work are using them, well, I guess that gives it even more clout. Hey Anthony, thanks for packaging these lights, buddy. Anthony, if your boss is watching this video, just let him know I said you did a fantastic job packaging these lights. I'm thinking that where this really matters is when the lights get returned. It's like, Anthony, I need to see you in my office. And Anthony's like, dang it. I meant to put Bob. He should have put Bob on the lights. My immediate first impressions are, wow, I'm impressed. There's a massive jump in quality. Right out of the gate, the first thing I noticed was not only the strength of the cooling fins in comparison, I can't even bend them. And the ones on the cheaper lights are so thin that I'd be afraid if you even stepped on it, you might bend them. But also the depth of the cooling fins. They're nearly 3/4 of the depth of the light. That gives you some idea how important keeping these lights cool is. I'm sure maybe in the winter weather it's not that big of a deal, but in hot summer weather, I'll bet these really build heat. What I was after when I bought this light was the degree of the beam pattern. This same Rigid D2 light is available in 4 different light patterns. So this is their diffused lens, and it's supposed to give a 60-degree beam pattern, which from what I could tell was a flood light pattern. So it's not going to put light very far, but it should make the light beam nice and wide. One of the greatest weaknesses of these LED lights is the environment where they're used and waterproofing. And again, I can tell right out of the gate that the quality of the seal on this lens is impressive. There's only 2 places I can see where water could get in. Right here around the lens, and the connection is just stout. And the other one is here where the cord enters the body. I can tell that a lot of attention to detail has been put into making this connection not only secure, but waterproof. If you remember on the budget lights, that was one thing I noticed right out of the gate, is that the seal right here is, man, it's pathetic at best. Furthering the commitment to waterproofing and durability is the connector that's included on this light. So first of all, this is a sealed cord on the light. From the light all the way to connector, no breaks. And it is a waterproof Deutsch connector, which is automotive grade, something that you would have no problems leaving out in the elements. Even if it were exposed, you're not going to get condensation and moisture inside that connection. So that is just one more commitment to quality over a couple of bare wires sticking out. This light, the D2 Rigid, is also a 6 LED light. The difference is these are 6-watt LEDs. So this is actually a 36-watt light, not 18 like the cheaper Chinese ones that we looked at earlier. Here's a great lighting diagram included on the rigid box, showing their different lens patterns. And again, this light is a diffused light pattern. We really want the majority of our light right here. And we'll talk a little bit more later about the application, but you can see that there's other lenses available. My initial reaction to this light is, I'm actually impressed. The thing with buying things on the internet is they all look about the same in the photos, but holding this light and seeing the quality, I can see the justification for cost. And I have to agree that this light is something that I can tell right out of the box I'm going to feel really excited to mount and use. The lower priced one, man, I can just tell right now it's going to be a bit of a gamble. So that's not all they include with these lights. I believe there's actually a full harness, wiring harness included, that helps you to extend the Deutsch connector into a weather protected area. They also include a couple of really stout mounts. I don't know what gauge of steel these are, but they are strong. These are impressive. The ones that were included with the lights previously were much thinner. These would probably be, I'm not sure what the gauge would be, but maybe 1/8 inch or thicker steel. And they also include stickers so that you can run around and let everybody know that they should steal your LED lights from you. The mounting on this rigid also is just really well thought out. So this mount actually slides into kind of a bracket inside the light. And one thing I noticed about a lot of the lights that I was shopping, they weren't really capable of being aimed down. They were very like forward or up seemed to be the limitations of a lot of the mounting systems. And the rigid here, it looks to me like could be aimed considerably down if you needed to, which was a consideration for the application we're using. The lights will be mounted high up and we need them to be aiming down slightly, not nearly that aggressive. But I think for folks who need that in an application, certainly worth considering. And the rigid also has a single bottom mounting position. So it stands to reason that when you buy the rigid lights, you're getting more than just lights. So included with the lights is this relay fuse harness, a very substantial product. It's not just part of the lights. You're getting far more value. Let's kind of take this apart and look more closely at it. One item included is a push button. Excuse me, this appears to be a rocker switch. So a simple on-off, and it looks to be lighted. I'm guessing that lights up when you get the wiring correct. Included in the harness is a relay, and it's got a pretty stout relay mount. I think relays are something that can easily get damaged if you're not careful. They also include an inline fuse. This appears to be a waterproof fuse holder. If it's not, it's one of the hardest fuse holders I've ever tried to get open. Okay, I'm definitely going waterproof on that. My goodness. So a blade fuse is included, 15 amps, certainly way more than's needed to power these lights. I believe that they are, let's see, 34 watts, so they're probably somewhere in the 4 amp range. Okay, I was way wrong on that. They're rated at 2.5 amps. Which makes me scratch my chin how they're 34 watts. Anyway, so they've put the connection to the switch in a nice shielded sheath, which should help keep rubbing and chafing on the wires down. So this end obviously goes to the switch, and then out here on the harness end, a couple more male Deutsch connectors. And this system built correctly, they've heat shrink this. This should really resist the weather nicely. I will say that the harness appears to be mostly made in China. That doesn't mean the lights aren't, but on the box, they claim to be made in America. These connectors are very much an automotive grade connector, something you'll see on engines and such that are exposed to weather, even headlights. This small gasket here is designed to seal inside this housing for a very clean and weatherproof connection. Of course, taking them apart on a car sucks because they get covered in mud and dirt, but these connectors alone are an investment. At first glance, I can see why this wiring harness is so important, and I would say it's highly valuable as a part of the complete lighting system. The downside is I don't need all this for the application I'm using them for. So I feel like maybe I kind of overpaid for a lot of this stuff. I think the Deutsch connectors are nice, but all this other stuff, I actually don't need any of it. So for me, it's probably just going to end up back in the box. So if you're somebody who's wanting to upgrade lights, maybe like I am, who has halogens and you're wanting to add LEDs, I don't know if there's a way to purchase this without buying all this extra harness stuff. If you can, maybe you could save a fair amount of money, maybe $50 or something. That said, if you're somebody who's adding LED lights to your application, definitely want to get a light kit that's got a quality harness. My final thoughts on this one, the Rigid. Based on first impressions, build quality, seal quality, waterproof connector, quality harness, I can say that a much higher price is justified for these lights. These are not a comparable, overpriced Chinese product. That's my initial impressions, and that's without even seeing the light output. We already know that the LEDs are a higher wattage, and we can see the waterproofing has had a lot more forethought given to it in the design. And then the quality of the mount, I feel like it's there. I feel, is it worth 10 times as much? Well, I guess that's really dependent on people's budget. But my 2 cents would be, it's there. This is the one that's going to be really hard to understand the price. As we saw with the Chinese one versus the Rigid American product, there's a big jump in quality there. So that price jump, I'm on board. I get it. This one is going to be a little harder. So this light is going to have to really scream, wow, in order to justify the cost. So one light, one S2 light from Baja Designs is $160. That's not outrageous, but it's definitely high. I've seen other lights out there by other manufacturers upwards of $200 per light, but not in the pod family. Light bars, sure, that's not that hard to do, find a $200 light bar. But in this tiny little light, $160. In fact, I think on their website, Baja Designs, these are $180. I have to admit that when I was researching this light, I was impressed. First of all, again, it's a product that is designed and made in America, and that's something that we take pride in. Another thing that really jumped out to me was the current or amp draw or watt draw of this light compared to its light output. It was extraordinary in comparison to the other similar priced and sized lights. In fact, I think we're going to find that this light is much smaller than either of the two lights that we've opened already. Additionally, this light is available in a tremendous variety of light patterns and colors. So if you need the same light, which would be helpful for standardization, this light has a lot of options that other companies and other products just don't offer. I'm a super research-driven consumer, and I love when a company explains to me the why behind their product. And I have to say that Baja Designs has done probably the best job I've found explaining not only what their lights do, but why. And why you want light in some areas and why you want light in other areas. So this set of lights is designed for right around the vehicle or the application, whereas they offer different lenses on the same light that will give you a cornering light or a driving light, spotlight, etc. I love the way they've really thought about not only how much light a light produces, but where exactly that light is to be used. I think where this really became clear to me, we recently replaced our factory Subaru Forester light housings. They have the same bulb that they had in them before. So in theory, it's the same amount of light. But these new lenses have a very clean cutoff on top of them. And so the light is much more focused where you need it. And there's less light being spread around and lighting up trees and things that you don't really want to look at. So not only is the light the same as it was before, but you actually get more of that usable light where you want it. And that's really what Baja Designs has done with their lighting system. So this light is the S2 light by Baja Designs. It is the S2 Sport. I believe they make another one that is called the Pro. And I think the difference is the wattage of the light output. It's even higher. They too include a sticker that lets everybody know that your lights are extremely expensive and that they should steal them. Well, that's it. That's 160 bucks right there. I'm holding it in the palm of my hand. Incredibly small light. So immediately you're going to notice it's a 2 LED light, and yet it has output that is similar to all of the other lights that we have opened. First impressions, the same commitment to weather protection and build quality that we saw on the rigid light. The only place water is going to get in this lens would be right here around the front, and then where the wire enters the body. I have to say that I feel like the waterproofing on this is at least as good as the rigid and maybe better. The heat sink quality is even higher. It's even thicker, even more strong. That's really stout. This body is cast aluminum, and I believe that's true on each of the lights that we opened. So it looks like the face on this one is an aluminum face, and overall this light is extremely light. It doesn't weigh hardly anything. So I would think for applications where bouncing would be an issue, you know, it's has almost nothing to it. It's very impressive. They do also include a waterproof automotive style connector. I guess it's really a matter of opinion, but I feel like this connector maybe isn't on par with the rigid. I just kind of have an affinity for those Deutsch style connectors. I think what makes these connectors unique is that you can actually add the pins after the fact, and we'll see that on the harness that they include. But you can see that the wire is exposed here. So dirt, water, anything it wants can get in this sheath. Whereas on the rigid light, this was a completely sealed connection. No access for water whatsoever. The mounting bracket included is not as stout. I can physically bend that bracket. And on the rigid, in fact, I just bent it, just like that. I just squeezed it with my fingers. Although, in all fairness, this light might weigh half or less than the rigid light, so you may not need as big of a bracket. And I know that the foundation of Baja Designs business is racing, and in racing, weight is everything. So there's probably a very good justification for this. I can also say that I think this is stainless steel, so it is going to be extremely resistant to the elements. Whereas the mounting bracket on the rigid, I believe, was not. It was probably a zinc-coated alloy or some sort of galvanized bracket. So the commitment to quality is there as far as the material goes, even though it's not as thick. They also are using a single bottom mounting location. So here's a big difference between the Baja and the Rigid. This connector is designed to be installed on an existing lighting system. So no relay, no switch, nothing. They're just giving you the light and a harness that you can add after the fact. So you would crimp these onto your existing wires and add the waterproofing seals and then insert them into the connector, and there you go. So if you purchase this lighting kit the way I did, I don't know if Baja offers one with a harness, but this light did not come with one. All you're getting is a waterproof connector, and you'll have to figure the rest of it out yourself. I did finally figure out the difference here. Okay, so this is an S2 Sport. It's important. The lumens on this is 1130 and the wattage is 12. This little light is 12 watts, but it's putting out 1100 lumens. They do make a pro version of this light that is double that. It's double the wattage, double the lumens, of course double the amp draw. What really stood out to me about this light, the S2, wait, this is the S2 Pro. Ha! I got the right light. Oh, I was totally thinking I bought the Sport because that's what was on the box. What I was really worried about was that I bought the wrong wattage, and so it wouldn't really be a fair comparison, but it is a fair comparison. So this little tiny light has 2,450 lumens. The smaller Chinese lights that we looked at earlier, or the cheaper Chinese lights, I think are rated at 1,700 lumens. So this little tiny light is putting out more than this guy. I think, like most of us with lighting, a lot of it is driven by current draw or amp draw. And so even on the application where I'm installing these lights, it's a consideration. When I was repairing the lighting, I noticed that on one of the switches to the lights that are existing, it had been melted. And that tells me that either something got shorted out, which is possible, or those lights pull a lot of current. And I think that's probably closer to the truth. Halogen lights are known for that. They take a lot of current and they don't produce nearly as much light as an equal LED. So this little light is rated at 1.6 amps of current. That's insanely low. I believe the lights that are currently on our Backhoe, which is the application we'll be using them for, are something like 6 amps each. So in theory, we could put 4 of these for every light that's currently on the Backhoe. Where we'll be doing our testing on these lights is on our Backhoe. We currently have 4 lights in the back and 4 lights in the front. 2 of them are floodlights and 2 of them are driving lights. So I'm hoping to use these pod lights to light up the work area in the front while plowing snow and moving materials. And eventually, once I get convinced I know what lights I want to move some of those to the back. But later down the road, I'll also be sharing some research around light bars because I'm hoping to extend the light range using a light bar to give us a combination of lighting. Alyssa said she thinks she should fly the drone about a half a mile away and get some video of what this looks like when it's been installed. I think it would be funny to install all of these lights on the Backhoe and drive around like a football stadium. All right, you better get this on video just in case this goes really bad, but my dad did this one time and it actually worked. So this is a Milwaukee 18-volt battery, and this light is rated for 12 to 24 volts. So let's just see if it'll work. Yes, it works!
Your arm's in the way.
LED light hack. I think I just figured out a new headlamp.
That's what dads are for.
I think I just figured out a new headlamp. What do you think? Maybe if I put the battery in the back?
Put like a couple of beers on the side.
perfect.
So it's done enough.
Wow. So we just finished unboxing all of these LED pod lights, and I'm super excited. I cannot wait to get them installed because I really need to get some plowing done, and I want to have really good lights, and I want to try these LED lights out. But the next problem is mounting. The lights that are on the backhoe already are mounted in a factory kind of mounting position. It's not really that great for aftermarket lights. They're kind of a unique mount. They're the sealed beam type headlight. So if I wanted to replace them with a sealed beam light, well, there you go. I think I'd be good to go. But because they're so high up on the roll cage that they need to aim down. So mounting became like quite a conundrum. I looked at a lot of different lights, and a lot of these lights come with a bottom mount. They're designed to be mounted from the bottom, right? And that's not at all how the backhoe lighting works. I don't know if the guys watching this video are anything like me, but I'm not really set up, first of all. But second of all, I don't love welding and modifying things. It's just not my favorite thing. I do want to do more of it in the future, but for this situation, that's not what I wanted to do. But it's probably for a more practical reason that I didn't want to do that, because this is the rollover protection for the backhoe. So the lights are mounted up here, and I don't want to cut and weld on that because that's our protection in case we do something stupid and roll the backhoe over. I realize it'd be a pretty small weld, but I'm thinking there's got to be a better way. So I went looking and asking what's an easier way to get these lights mounted, and I found these. Oh. Magnetic mounts. Oh, yes. I'm glad I bought these. I was curious if they would just be like a brutal magnet. Turns out they're rubberized. So they've got this kind of rubber jacket. And it's pretty good. Something that you wouldn't want to damage bodywork, like if you're gonna put these on a pickup truck or something nice that you actually cared about. And they come with this bracket, which you can use to mount in many different positions. You can mount them vertically, like light bars. I believe you could mount this to your roof and then run a light bar horizontally across here. In our application, we're gonna turn them down like this and mount them to the face of the roll cage and mount our light right here. So there's really not a lot to explain about these magnets, but I will say that they've got a threaded stud in them, and then just one single bolt with a lock washer is all that you use to attach the bases. They did include some washers that you can use to create maybe a more secure connection, so we'll have to try that out. Is the magnet strong? Well, I guess there's only one way to find out, and that's to put it on there with a light and then drive around and plow a bunch and see if it falls off. I think we're all excited to see what the expensive LED light does, so I think that's the one that we should hook up first. right, it took a little bit to figure out how to get these mounted up. It's not a complicated mount, but you got to do things in the right order. But we're already going to have a problem with our magnetic mounts. The hardware that's included with the Baja S2 Pro light is too large to fit the mounting hole on this magnetic mount. We've run into that before, and I thought about using this bigger hole, but that's what's used to mount to the base, and it really should probably be used that way to get the maximum contact. So we're going to resort to enlarging that hole. We should try to switch hardware with some of the other lights just to see if we could find a workaround. And there's definitely some mounting differences between all the lights. So we're just going to make it work.
How's that working?
Good. Shockingly good.
Wow. That was way less dramatic than last time.
So this is coming together nicely. Just a quick ream on that one, and looks like we can get this light mounted up. And then we can add the magnetic base. So that's kind of strange. I'm guessing we have to add washers to that because there's no way that this screw is going to take up that amount of gap. But I guess that's good because it gives you options maybe to mount the base there. Keeps track of all your washers for you, that's for sure.
If it looks cold and wintry out there, it's because it is. It looks, no, it feels just as cold as it looks.
Good stuff. All right. So I kind of had a revelation while I was assembling this, and it's kind of a dirt moment. But one of the things I noticed about the Baja Designs S2 light is that it doesn't aim down. But with this magnetic mount, you can flip the light upside down. Check it out. You can go way far down. So that's one of the nice things about a versatile mount like this. And honestly, you can mount it sideways. I mean, if you wanted like a vertical light, you know, you could do something like that. I don't know, it'd be kind of fun to play around with. But I think it's a good idea in general, but because I plan on doing a fair bit of testing with different lights, I wanted to make adding and taking away the lights or installing and uninstalling the lights as easy as possible. So I picked up these 2-pin quick connect harnesses, and hopefully this will, if I can put one on each light, I should be able to simply mount it to the magnetic mount, plug it in, and be in business. I don't think these are waterproof, so I want to make sure that it actually connects inside that rollover cage. And in the case of the lights that have a waterproof connector, I'm okay if this is outside, but I want to make sure this little guy's inside. So on the Baja Design lights, they include this water-sealed protector, but you've got to crimp it to your existing wiring, which is nice because in this situation, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm replacing an existing light. So I'm going to add this quick connect to the end of their waterproof connector, and I want to use this to attach it to the backhoe. This connection is nice just to have a waterproof connection on the outside there. I don't know if there's a special crimp tool for that or what. I'm sure there's a tool that kind of curls those around, and we don't have it. Guess it's attached. So that goes like that. All right, I think we're good. We've got our two S2 Pro lights mounted to magnetic bases. I got the waterproof connectors attached to our quick connect harness, and we've got two spare quick connects that we need to install on the backhoe. So let's go work on removing the lights that are on the backhoe now and getting things wired up so we can plug these in. So before I did quite a bit of work up here getting this wiring cleaned up. So hopefully this connection won't be too awfully terrible. I'm wanting to put these on the outside. This should go pretty quick. All we've got to do is get this harness here wired up. Gonna grab the socket set and maybe like a 3/4 socket with an extension.
You want me to do just leave it dingling?
Apparently didn't want those to ever come off. No, you should be able to just pull this out with the wires and all. There you go. Okay. So the bad news is these connectors are too large to go through the hole that was provided for the lights to mount to. Wait, look,
Ooh.
they'll go underneath.
Dun, dun, dun.
Screw that. Like I'm not. Yeah, that's fine by me right now. I'm not. Man, I don't. It sucks because I can't put these protectors back in. So it's not a good long-term solution, but
it's a good nighttime at dark and winter solution.
it's a good. This video could easily take way too long,
Yeah.
and Alyssa would get mad at me, and I would have to sleep on the couch, and there'd be no more
we don't
video
have a couch,
solution.
so
That's why it's so bad. 'Cause we don't even have one. Should give these to somebody for Christmas. Like, what's that? These are vintage antique case halogen headlights.
cozy. Have to see to appreciate.
Yep, exactly. Boutique.
Boutique.
This is our studio lighting that we use to ensure good footage. Oh yeah, that'll work. Right there. All right, what do you think?
Moment of truth.
What do you think? I think something like that. That looks pretty good right there. It'll
This is
fit.
your project. You can do whatever
Well,
you want.
we can turn it over, but I think it's good. I think that's probably about what we want. I think we go a little wider. Ready?
Yeah. Nice. That's not going anywhere.
Oh crap.
Wow, you might not be able to get it off there. Hold on.
Does it come off? Yes. The answer is yes. Ugh, but it's definitely on there.
Pretty sweet.
It's gonna hold this tiny light, no problem, I think. I say right there. Oh yeah, that'll do. We got way plenty of connector too. This kind of sucks. I have to wrap it around or something like that to keep it up out of my face. And then we'll connect this guy to here. And then we connect the quick connect. Oh yeah, those are never easy to put together. They're quick, not easy. And then this side, waterproof connector. Check, quick connect. Wow, not in love with those quick connects. Now, it's time to turn them on.
Ooh. Are you gonna do it right here?
Yeah.
Okay. Did I stand right here? You know, I think I'm gonna go back into the garage.
I think you should
for
back
full
up just a
effect.
little bit.
Okay.
We'll turn them on a few times. How's that?
That's pretty good. Wow. Pretty bright. Can you turn the other ones on for comparison or no? Because they don't work. Wow. Way better. Wow.
Not bad. I'm not like shocked with the amount of light they put out, but I'd say it's okay. It's good. I can't really tell in here. Let me kind of compare this. Well, I would say it's pretty similar. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's like insanely more light. I guess the way to really know would be to go out and test it.
Let's do the other ones.
These lights don't even like help much.
It's really hard to tell because of the garage lighting, so we should drive down a ways.
Okay, sounds good.
Or I'll just unplug the garage lighting.
We can do that. That would be even better.
Okay. Okay, those are the LEDs.
Yeah. I'm actually gonna rotate these and I'm gonna flip them upside down because this is a floodlight and they're aimed too high. They're shooting way out there. So the light's even better than what we see right now. I'm gonna flip these magnetic mounts over and I'm gonna aim them down a little bit. And now I can see like really wide. I can see outside my plowing zone. So I don't have very much light down there right now, which sucks. Maybe if I turn these on. So those actually shoot a line pretty far. I mean, better. But I want these for like plowing right next to me so I can see my tires and you know, what's going on next to my plow. And I think that's pretty good.
Halogen LED.
So we actually have some drone footage of us using the halogens, and we're gonna fly the drone up and kind of just, Alyssa's gonna get a little bit of footage comparing these. Of course, this is not, we're not done with Pimp My Backhoe yet. We still have a long ways to go. But what I'm really excited about is that with a quick connect light system and the magnetic mounts, I can switch out lights really fast. And we can totally compare, you know, like cheap Chinese lights versus the expensive ones. So that's gonna be pretty sweet. So you ready to fly the drone?
Yep.
Let's do it. I'm really happy with how these magnetic mounts turned out. Super easy to install, no effort at all. But I think what I'm most excited about is that they can be mounted almost anywhere. So if I wanted to move these lights to the outside of the rollover protection, I could do that. It's on my mind to even add some lights to the side over here to give you really good side lighting. And I have another set of mounts that I didn't get to open today, but I hope to put them up here on the top of the rollover protection. And I plan on adding a light bar. So stay tuned. I'm not done playing Pimp My Backhoe yet.